Hello, hello, hello. Dr. Jared Wahey here, and we're test driving some new content. I kind of want to shake it up. I think we are never going to do better than getting Dr. Corinne Zeman on mic to talk about Daniel Defoe and that garbage novel and the ways that what if RPGs are just all about the type of thing narrative and stuff narratives that the 18th century put out, and the type of like greed and capital accumulation that comes with being a homo economicus. I ain't go to school for Latin, and speaking Latin out loud is how you summon ghosts. But welcome. So we're shaking things up. No longer neocolonial space narratives. Instead, I think I want to talk about blood, and the sort of politics of blood, especially in this sort of, I don't want to call it, in this sort of like neo-Victorian mode, and thinking about how blood and sort of Victorian adaptations of blood work to raise questions about morality, disease, the body, health, and sexuality also. So, come hang out with us as we think about blood this week. Starting a new game. We're just going to set that up real quick, but how are we feeling tonight? How are we doing?
Oh, yeah.
It is week 6, which feels oppressive.
Well, you've come to the right place. Yarnum is the home of blood ministration. You need only unravel its mystery.
Blood ministration.
But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of Yarnum blood of your own. But first, you'll need a contract.
While we go through some of this character building stuff, I think I just want to start out asking, what sort of comes to mind when we talk about blood? What are the ways that we are asked to sort of encounter blood? In what settings do we sort of often read about or think about the blood? I'm giving him a PhD. His name is Dr. Blood. This is how we're living. A born specialist, fit for sleeping or academia. We probably actually want to bulk up some other things just to stay alive. This is a sort of survival horror, Dark Souls-esque game for allegedly highly skilled people. So you're actually just going to watch me beef it over and over. Will be this. But I'm in the middle of teaching, I'm in the middle of teaching Dracula right now. Actually, we're about to end it this week. So I've just been living in a land of late Victorian blood politics, right? I don't know. Has anybody read Dracula before? Right before this, we also did Carmilla by Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu. So it's just been about 3 weeks of bloodsuckers in my novel class. But if anybody read Dracula before? Or seen the Nightmare Keanu Reeves, Francis Ford Coppola version? Oh. Dracula's fab. It's a super weird text about the sort of crisis of late Victorian England. And the idea is that there is a foreign invasion terrorizing the London metropole, i.e. Dracula, who's sort of come over, and these professionals, these medical professionals. There's a psychiatrist, these sort of learned academics, Dr. Van Helsing, lawyers, Jonathan Harker, must sort of work together and assemble text and material in order to stop a vampire invasion of London. And it's an interesting novel because, for the late Victorian, late 19th century audiences, blood is always already political, right? That when you represent and sort of talk about images of blood and metaphors of blood mixing, and I guess in Bloodborne's case, blood ministration, it raises concerns about sort of bodies, lives, how we organize things, how we organize culture. Blood's political. And I kind of want to theorize that today. Brittany, have you played Bloodborne before? Or has anyone played Bloodborne before? I'm not good at these games. I much prefer...
You found yourself a hunter.
I prefer sort of different genres. Unfortunately, BioShock is unavailable to stream because that's what I would love to be playing. Yeah, I mean, it's 2015, so it was pretty, right up there with the release of the PS4. So this was like a sort of signature title. Seek pale blood to transcend the hunt. So we have made some sort of contract. We are in a city that is based on the traffic of blood. Just learning my controls real quick before we go out and fight. But thoughts on this aesthetic? We are sort of inhabiting this vintage 19th century inspired Gothic space of Yarnum. How does it read? I mean, it's super dark. Yeah, that's also for sure. I can adjust the brightness if this becomes sort of a problem, but it's absolutely about creating anxiety based on visibility. We're in a blood clinic, right? So this is a setting that is about the mixing and transfusion of the bloods. And for Victorian culture and concerns, right? This is a time where folks are very concerned about, this is bad. And we beefed it already. First death. Who's keeping track? Luckily, this is cool. Thank you. We have sort of concerns about infection. We have concerns about marriage. We have also concerns about sort of racial purity. That the concerns about keeping bloodlines sort of clean happens in several ways. There are sort of concerns in Victorian England about the transmission of syphilis. So if you actually had contracted syphilis and sort of were cured, there was a bit of an embargo and a wait time before you can actually get married because they were just so concerned about the transmission of disease. And that we often think of the Victorian era as a time that is sort of built on repression. That, it's they're sexless, they are, okay, that's spooky. And we get to our weapons, which is going to be great for actually killing things. But the Victorians actually produced a lot of discourses actually about sex. That what happens is they sort of, right, just put in a lot of time and energy into trying to categorize, demarcate, and manage what sort of, right, was good sex, what was bad sex, what was appropriate, what was inappropriate. And that is all about trying to micromanage the traffic of blood and, like, reproduction. Oh, we have no money. We have no blood icros. Okay, back to the sick room. What are some of the dangers of talking about, like, sickness in terms of morality, or sickness in terms of, like, good blood and bad blood? I mean, hi, if we're talking about the Victorian project, eugenics feels correct. It opens up sort of, right, concerns about who gets to reproduce and why. It is about population management, biopolitics. Yeah. And do you want... I think... Yeah. The UK government just straight up tried to manage, right, like, who could be DNR'd based on sort of, right, genetics and COVID, which is nightmares. But what are you thinking about? Like, it's always a tricky thing to talk about right to life and right to death based on one's perceived genetics. And stepping out into the world, right? We've got maybe a bit better lighting, but entire sort of, right, cathedral Gothic-esque space, rundown carriages, spooky cemeteries. What's up in trying to have these conversations? Yeah, we absolutely are. What's up in the framework? So we just got some weapons. We are exploring the town of Yarnum. What's up with having this conversation about blood in this hyper stylized Gothic town? Why make use of the Gothic to have or start these conversations? And, like, the post-apocalyptic ruined Gothic, right? Like, that is a very dead horse. So somebody definitely needs to be keeping a oops, I die counter, because this is not going to go well for too much longer. Okay. We're not doing the worst. I'm not doing the worst. And we've got some Molotov cocktails. That always makes a party. Oh, did not mean to do that. Okay. So I think, one of the concerns here is also about disability. That when we start to moralize disease and start to sort of talk about sick blood and bad blood, that it reproduces the type of thing that Susan Sontag warns us against, right? About creating illness as metaphor. So I'm interested in the ways that this game imagines Gothic space and maybe does so at the expense or, and does so at the expense of, sick people because it relies on this sort of, monster blood. I will say there's no, this is not a plot-driven game, right? I think it is about exploration, leveling up, and survivability. So it's a game built on aesthetics, not narrative, right? And if those aesthetics are about, we are here in town to potentially hunt infected people with bad blood or sort of infected blood. I don't know that doesn't get us out of the idea that this game is sort of about cleaning and cleansing, which, as Brittany pointed to earlier, doesn't not feel eugenic-y. Thoughts on the aesthetic so far? What's up in sort of invoking... I mean, this reads London-y to me. A Victorian London sensibility. Huh. Yeah. More street sewers for sure. We'll get there. There's some sewer space here that we can think about. Which again, cleanliness, public hygiene, health, and public wellness. Sure, there's not a lot of plot in Dracula, right? That, the majority of the drive comes from discovery and figuring out Dracula's plans. It's not something that's incredibly narrative driven. It's about the collection and curation of information. Oh, man. That's it. Beefed it. And that's number 2. For folks keeping track at home. So the idea of just being saturated. And we started in a sick room. So this idea of non-narrative nature of some of the scientific values and experimentation seems to align here. Yeah. And because we're talking about the politics of blood, that's not about histories of scientific racism, that's not about histories of eugenics, and about histories of policing sexuality and reproduction. I mean, I don't think this is a very sexy game, but it's a game that is sort of yeah. And for sure, right, that is the Victorian discourse about sexual purity and chastity, right? That it is, in the economy of the body, non-generative, non-productive sexuality becomes a waste, and often queerness is framed as degeneracy and a nervous disorder, right? So you've actually wasted your energy and created a sort of degenerate body, and that's a loaded term that is about cleanliness, usefulness, health. Sure. And that absolutely gets picked up for American world building and civic good. Okay, one of these people has our... Okay, nope. Bye! Okay, I put my axe away and that was bad. And I've learned that now. The game's sort of money and economy is in Blood Echoes. You can see that guy with glowing eyes. He's got my stuff. So there's no real penalty to dying except for losing the Blood Echoes, and then you have to sort of retrace your steps. The enemies sort of respawn. So it's a game, I don't know, I kind of joke that the Dark Souls model of gaming is a little bit like Simon Says, or a little bit like a game of memory, that you have to sort of remember where the enemies are as you continue to explore this world of Yharnam. Thoughts on the idea of repetition, right? That this is not a game... This is not a game with sort of clear linear progress as such, and that we're having this conversation about... and that this conversation about progressing happens, in a blood text. Okay, not gonna be good. Okay. I think that's number 5. I think that's right. And again, marriage and maternity, not about blood. What are your sort of go-to texts for female Gothic? We've just been reading Carmilla in my novel class. Okay, possibly getting worse at this as the night goes on. We stan the Carmen Maria Machado edition all day forever, and then Her Body and Other Parties, 100%, in the Dream House. We're going to be doing Mexican Gothic a little later on in my novel class, and one of the things that I really value is Moreno Garcia's repurposing of blood mythology to make that sort of racist Lovecraftian legacy the absolute terror of the space. Really? What didn't work for you? I enjoyed the vibes. Bye. Got it. Sorry, test driving controls. It's been a minute since I played this. Trying to figure out how to actually heal. Thanks for the blood. So again, I think as we're noticing, the repetition is sort of what's driving this game, and I think some of the jump scares. Thoughts on the sort of creature design? That this isn't quite zombie, this isn't quite... Like, there's a way to tell infection narratives if we do it in, like, the Resident Evil style. Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. It's not indebted to class privilege, right? Bye. Oh. Alright, who needs to be worried when I'm slaying two at a time? This is fine. This is absolutely fine. Catching my breath. Okay, some sort of absolute fire. I mean, yeah, it's just uncanny enough to, right, not make it... I don't know, too bad, but it seems to be referencing, again, when we talk about blood and sort of, right, like, clean blood, the blood clinic, it maybe is invoking a particular form of disability aesthetics in order to, like, I don't know, help mitigate the violence. For here, gigantism, invoking sort of, right, physical deformity in order to authorize the violence? That's not great. Okay, and they have guns. This is really not great. I mean, I think they're invoking highwaymen, right? It looks a little more like brigandy. It looks a little more like ruffian. Oh man, we are just getting coated in blood. Yeah, I buy that it still is sort of invoking cleanliness here in its visual rhetoric of, like, health. Okay. And there is something about the politics of skin, right? About not seeing all of it. Uh-oh. Where'd you come from, dude? And I do think the clothes and the highwayman, right, like aesthetic is about also a particular form of class. Oh, and we're gone. Here, puppy. It's a little like Charles Dickens Went to Hell. Yeah. It doesn't feel very updated. And I will say, I'm kind of excited for, what is it, Elden Ring? Oh, bye. And also a little bit, like Devil May Cry mechanics. Although this allegedly requires, like, technical proficiency, I'm just getting very lucky right now. I'm not... Nope, that's fine. Hard pass. Bye! Oh, I feel like I had a point or a question. It'll come back. Part of me is very tempted to go back and spend some of these blood echoes because clean that out pretty well. Man, if you got just all these coffins lying around, I think you got too many coffins. And we're hearing some manic laughter, a little like Mask of the Red Deathy. How does this game feel for late stage pandemic? I guess I'm saying late stage pandemic. I'm optimistic about that. I guess this could also be thought of as like a plague text or a text about, yep, latent. But so that will fit that will be on brand for this game, or at least for like conversations about 19th century blood. I don't know, I'd put this in there like a syllabus from Journal of a Plague Year or from Canterbury Tales to Bloodborne. Yeah, right? They feel... Man, okay, this is just going to be an exploration of 19th century horror. I think Raven, but it's not like overburdening birds of doom, right? So Rime of the Ancient Mariner perversely fits in this like critical genealogy for sure. We need a boat. I mean, it does hit everything. It does hit a lot of what you value, Dr. Salter. Boats. People being accountable for their actions. Whoa. What the hell? Bye. Bye-bye. So now I think we're like fully in deformity land, right? And the use of disability to prompt shock, horror, fear. I don't think this is also not Frankenstein land. One of the things I'm actually hoping to start maybe next week, we might have started it this week, but I absolutely, oh, you were banging on this door, so sorry, my dude, is Borderlands in the Borderlands, because I really want to think about disability aesthetics and narrative prosthesis in video game terms, right? So what are the ways that disability is sort of activated to invoke horror? What are the ways that disability is used to drive a story forward in ways where we're co-opting disability aesthetics just for, I don't know, just for superficial purposes? Oh, man, that hurts. If you, 100% get her on party chat. 10 out of 10 would love. Nostalgia stream. Okay, that wasn't good. I am not doing nearly as horrible as I thought I'd be. It does, and I'm on the fence about Borderlands 2, that I do think it is doing something more interesting than, like, offensive. Oh, man. Yeah. Okay, or I could learn how to aim. We could just try that. Okay. Guys, I made a werewolf friend, but I don't think he likes me. Okay. Bye. Bye-bye. Oh, that's bad. That is bad. That is cool. Great. Good times. Number 6 is, I think, what that was. Man, they went to town. Oh, I forgot I had a gun. And back to the grind. This is... I think I asked this question during our Beach Things Thursday, but what's the use of games that are mean to you? Like, this is like, cool, thanks for making all that progress. Please now start at the beginning with all of your blood echoes gone and get to chopping again. What's up with sort of the frustrating temporality of a game, where a game that makes you sort of, right, like, go back and go back and go back, right? Like, what's the use of thinking about recursive gaming rather than gaming that is sort of, right, built on progress? Rise and grind! Cool, so it's actually about the Protestant work ethic, or student athletes. Sorry, I didn't do it. Oh, man. It's Englandy and it's New Englandy. Great. I want the thing that took my blood money. But I also want to get more blood money. Hey, friend. I don't know. I don't have the, I guess I could try and turn on, game subtitles. I don't know where that would be. But you can hear, the villagers sort of saying, "Cursed beast." I guess, in what ways are we a domestic terrorist, or what ways are we, like, invested in population management here? I guess, how does this game position us in relationship to the violence? Who's yelling? Who yells? Ugh. Okay. Man, that's so many dudes. Oh, hey, dude. Forgot about you. I was looking at the other dudes. I mean, that's a great... Man, now I just want to design a syllabus around this game and plague narrative, because it is very I Am Legendy in terms of talking about blood metaphors for salvation. Okay, walked into that one. Increasingly walked into it. So, I don't know, that's number 7. Thanks for the reminder. And just like the blunt, you died. Yeah, word. Thanks. I'm aware. Keenly aware. Check, check. An inflicted organ, special material used in a holy chalice ritual. Oh, I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't just say, sort of, right, like, 19th century England wasn't Catholic, but, like, what do we do... I mean, and this is actually the I Am Legend, right? Like, what do we do when conversations about blood, the body, and health become religiously tinged? That I think this game can imagine a sort of, right, Catholic vibe. I mean, the big chapels, these sort of, right, spires don't not feel a bit Catholic. I thought that would arch more. What? No. Gonna get the blood back. and then we're going to take another detour. If I can't slash my way through this group, we'll just take it toward the city. Sure. Tell me more. I don't know this text. I am not... 19th century American literature is wild and super weird. I think I was talking to Corey the other day about Elsie Venner. Oh, I love that. Because, man, there are not great places for women or reproductive bodies in Matthew Lewis's The Monk. It is just brutal and bad. How do you teach a Bananagram's 19th century course? Like, when do we get to just turn you loose and sort of say, like, nope, let's read the, like, occult 19th century, complete with sort of, right, spiritualists and Ouija boards? How do we do a spooky 19th century? You know what? I knew you were there from last time. Come on, dude. Just be my friend. I mean, sure, yes. That's real. That we just can't do a class called Spooky White Ladies. Is there also something animated with, like, their faces that is invoking some sort of, like, disease? Sure, word. I mean, that's how I get away with teaching the 18th century, right? Is like, cool. It's a garbage nightmare time. And we'll read Mariah Edgeworth because, sure, I think Belinda's amazing, but we will definitely have to frame it as long history of Karens and white women's tears. Come in, but blood! Bye! Oh no. Uh-oh. We're making friends. That was risky. Oh, and they're just, like, publicly burning one of those werewolves in the town square. Foul beast and aligning us with that. Interesting. Come on, friend. Away from the gun. Is there a dog down here as well? Oh, hey, gun dude. That's what I wanted to avoid. Yo. Yeah, I mean, that's just the intro to WGST class, right, Brittany? I don't know. We have one WGST class here on the books at Tamu CC, and as such, I'm just like, we can't give a lot of real estate to white liberal feminist thinking. Oops. Okay, nope, your bullets. Okay, back to our friends the birds, and the gentleman coded as monstrous and deformed. One of my favorite readings of Frankenstein is Leonard J. Davis's. Oh, what are you? Was that a... That was like straight up a wheelchair. Y'all, this is my disability jam. That like when you pepper your like mise en scène, mise en screen. I should maybe know the word. I think it's still like mise en scène, right? Like that feels appropriate. With just like the lingering artifacts of disability to create horror. Man, you are invested in a particularly ableist visual rhetoric. All right, there's our friend. Okay. I mean, speaking of, right, the medicalization of sexuality, concerns about blood impurity, while also being informed by visual rhetoric of Catholicism, American Horror Story Season 2. Yeah, that feels appropriate. That feels like a real touchstone. Sorry, I was saying my favorite reading of Frankenstein is from Leonard J. Davis, where it's like, cool, and the politics of touch, where the thing that Victor Frankenstein freaks out about is just that he made a big man with maybe some scarification, and he just like freaks out over that, which is essentially, right, like deformity and disability. There's nothing inherently monstrous. It is revealing more about Frankenstein's inherent ableism and sort of, right, like ableist mindset. Okay, we are getting away from that. Oh, I thought you were... No. Mm-mm. Huh? Okay, all right. Back on track, back in the groove. We are maybe not going to fight the werewolves, because there is a way back to the lantern that is not... that does not require me fighting those dudes. Even though one of them has my blood. Man, these statues are wild and freak me out. See, that's how you create, I think, a culture of, or like a visual rhetoric for like the uncanny and the horrifying is give me like hooded, robed statues. Don't give me wheelchairs peppering everything, right? When you make sickness in the body, I mean, it's definitely a Doctor Who episode, right? For sure. Okay. Oh, you take me down there. That's interesting. Thanks for, I guess, these pebbles? What am I missing? Oh, son of a... Well, I have no idea where I am anymore, but is this enough sewer for you? I don't know what happened. Thank you, Wolfman. Okay, well, this is entirely new. There are giant rats in the sewer. I am officially unnerved and also disoriented. That if the problem, or that if this game does not allow you to sort of, right, like, frequently save, orient yourself, right? Like, it just opens you into the city, and you just kind of have to go with it. I was breaking barrels, hoping to find things, and instead, sewer times. Bold of you to assume that I say anything interesting about form, but thank you for that generous reading. What do you mean? Save me. What? Oh, son of a... Bye. Okay, we do take a little bit of fall damage. Sorry, I desperately don't want to be down here. I want to find that lamp and spend some blood. Yeah. And it creates this sort of, right, like, mini... It reproduces, right, like, not speed runs per se, but, right, like, successful runs on, like, the micro level as it sort of builds and builds, right? So that there are multiple repetitions in the game. I think we're fighting these things. Okay, too early. Oh man, nope. Oh, yes, still up. Okay, and if somebody would like to play Warren Zevon's Werewolves of London, just over this, I would not be mad. Oh, uh-huh. Yep. Thank you. I have a gun. Okay, word, great. That's fantastic. I'm out of all of my healing stuff. I got a lot of blood back. Oh, okay. That's fine. Perfect. Where are my blood echoes? Alright, healing, I'm not mad at you. No. No thanks, friend. That's not cute. Don't know what's happening over there. And back into the dark. Where we will be absolutely ambushed. Cool, cool, cool. I'm like 90% sure this is the way back. And monster who uses a wheelchair. Thoughts about... thoughts about that choice, right? Like, it doesn't just use the wheelchair to create a sort of mise-en-scène, but imagine sort of, right, like, ill or, like, people with limited mobility or mobility impairment, sort of, right, like, now as enacting sort of terror. Thoughts about that framework? Well, also sort of in this... we get to pick up little pieces of lore. When the hunt began, the healing church left us, blocking the great bridge to the cathedral ward, as old Yarnum burned to the ground that moonlit night. It's hard not to see the, it's hard not to read the sort of, right, the politics of sort of sickness, illness, and debility in this text as sort of disqualifying. Hi. I like their hats. Ableism. We're getting a lot of cool things. Although I'm not sure that because this game understands itself as... because I don't think it's as narrative driven for us to easily say like hero or and protagonist, that maybe it's getting us away slightly from that. But I do think in terms of us being the avatar and inhabiting this sort of hunter, we are asked, yeah, that it does establish that sort of, right, identification with able-bodiedness and going around sort of doing the hunting, doing the cleansing. Ugh, which isn't great. Okay. Well, now we can sort of, right, level up some equipment. We can buy some... I want some Molotov cocktails. Also, the thing that was a doll before is now a full... like... oh, I don't like this. But this is open, and we get to meet, I think, the man who brought us here. Or the man we sort of saw at the opening cutscene.
You must be the new hunter. Welcome to the hunter's dream. This will be your home for now. I am... Gammon. Friend to you hunters.
It's I like that joke a lot.
Too hard about all of this. Just go out and kill a few beasts.
Again, kill a few beasts. We're relying on that sort of atavistic, animalistic representation of deformity, which is not great. But I do think there's maybe something interesting here about our mentor, who is sort of, right, brought us in, advising us, and also just like being able to animate aging and old age. Like that's not nothing. I'm not sure it's great, but it's not nothing. Sure, let's fortify some equipment. Awesome. I do also think I need to repair something. No? Okay. Then we can leave. Inventory management. To escape this dreadful hunter's dream, halt the source of the spreading scourge of beasts, lest the night carry on forever. Oof. So again, illness, deformity, corruption spreading. It is carrying on that sort of Gothic 19th century sort of fear of disease, which has all of those sort of cultural baggages associated with it. Shout out to Jack Halberstam's Skin Shows. Do a follow-up with Blood video games. I want some more Molotov cocktails. What do we got? And some blood vials. Okay. I mean, I don't know if we can sort of, right, like, save our money or if it's worth saving our blood echoes because they sort of go away. We can get skill points when, surprise, this doll turns into not a doll. Well, I think we've been streaming for a little over an hour. Let's maybe call it here. Thanks so much for hanging out and thinking about blood, and the, like, new sort of adaptation of Gothic fictions and 19th century sort of concerns about cleanliness, hygiene, the morality of hygiene, and as sort of, right, emerging digital, like, disability aesthetics. We'll maybe continue this. We'll see. I'm trying to rope in some of my colleagues for some more co-hosting, so it might turn into some Borderlands. But I think we'll keep some Bloodborne on the rotation as need be, if not just for my wonderful colleagues who work in the 19th century. Thank you so much. Everybody, be well, take care, get some rest as we continue to power through this semester. And I'll see some folks Thursday for Beach Thing Thursday. Have a wonderful night. Thanks for hanging out.